Where's the best place to get a chicken? From the poultry. Welcome back to How Hard Could It Be, where I tell you about an old 19th century law, then talk about some of my challenges in the process. So what's the law in question? It's the chicken law. It's one of those ridiculous laws you come across from different times, when the standards for legality were far different, and punishable offenses ranged far and wide in their actual punishments. Trust me, you've got to stick around till the end, because there's some crazy information here. The chicken law dictates that if two people are in a physical altercation and one party inflicts significant bodily harm to the other, the recipient of said bodily harm is owed a single grown chicken or equivalent game bird, such as a pheasant, duck, or goose. So why was this law brought about, and what social and economic forces saw it become necessary? The law originated around a railroad boomtown. This one grew particularly quickly, and the influx of new people, limited infrastructure, and lack of certain resources resulted in a lot of friction. This friction resulted in an increase of altercations, fights, saloon brawls, and various other forms of conflict. The severity of them grew quickly as well, and the town's only doctor was being overwhelmed with patients. On top of this, the town's limited jail cells were being overcrowded due to the increase of ruffians causing trouble, often resulting in the two parties of a fight having to share cells to unfortunate effect. These conflicts reduced the workforce as well because of the injuries and the jail time. The regional railroad company was particularly in favor of a change. They wanted to keep their labor on the job instead of in cells so they could keep their deadlines. Obviously, a change needed to happen, and a simplification of the penal code was the most easily implementable option. The mayor, alongside the city's council, came up with the chicken law. This was to hopefully reduce the number of significant injuries by penalizing them differently, as well as streamlining the process. By doing this, they hoped to reduce the strain on both the town doctor as well as the limited jail space. And how did it result? It was a success. After the town announcement, injuries reduced by a staggering amount. From record dives after the fact, there was a 90% reduction in injuries over a year. Any injuries that did happen were also less severe, and fights would resolve faster before a significant injury could occur because both parties knew the consequences thereof. When injuries did occur, the amount of jail time resulting from it was substituted with the payment of a chicken, or a goose, or a turkey. This allowed both parties to return to their town duties and helped both move on from the conflict. Of course, when it comes to laws that require payouts, inevitably abuse will happen. Were there people who tried to spark fights in order to get a free chicken for only the cost of their bodily harm? There was only one trial I could find from the era that was recorded involving a bilking of the system. Naturally, they tried to fake the injury because purposefully attempting to be injured for a chicken would be silly. Still, they were found out because the doctor refused to lie about the injury, and instead the supposed victim was charged with fraud. I suppose you could say he was too chicken to actually be injured for such a paltry sum. Nowadays, we might find a chicken in exchange for an injury to be outrageous. Of course, with modern factory farming, the cost of actually growing a chicken and the opportunity cost of slaughtering one is greatly reduced in the grand scheme of things. This is before the development of the cage system that started in the 1920s that improved egg production. Back in those days, raising chickens was mainly for eggs, which of course you can only do if it's alive. Chickens were only eaten by common folk for special occasions, much like a full turkey is today. This meant that even just one chicken would be a great, long-lasting asset to a family, with a chicken living between 5 to 10 years old. An average Joe would likely be making less than $1 a day, and a chicken laying eggs may net them a bit over $2 a year, depending on the going rates of eggs. I have a lot of mixed information on the cost of eggs. Another neat factoid about this law is that it gave rise to a new name for a classic rude hand gesture. Have you ever wondered why flipping someone off is called giving the bird? You know, like if you stuck up only your middle finger at someone while angry. It's because it became linked with the chicken law. It was basically a way of saying, this is the only bird you'll get from me. It represented being angry, but not angry enough to get into a fight and giving the opponent, so to speak, an actual chicken. Instead, you just give them the bird. Maybe someone realized that just showing someone a middle finger kind of looked like a nice fat chicken with a long neck and the head stretched out. I don't know. Back to the law itself. What was the extent of the law? What did it cover? Any significant injury resulting from an altercation. This included, but was not limited to, broken arms, legs, fingers, significant lacerations, cuts, a broken nose, severe concussions, and any wound inflicted by a knife, saber, gunshot, or other weapon. It's important to note that the exchange was only required in the case of an injury. Getting into a fight that resulted in no injury sometimes just landed you in a jail cell for the night. That was mostly implemented so the offenders could sober up by the morning for release. If both were injured, sometimes no chicken would be owed and each party would be punished by their own injuries. However, if there was a significant difference between the level of injury, the most injured party would be the given the poultry. If two people fought, then walked away before an injury could occur, neither would be owed a payment, and neither would need to be jailed, especially if they separated before the sheriff could arrive. After all, no harm, no foul. April Fools, everyone. All of that just for a pun. You're welcome. But stick around for my challenges, though. Maybe there will be more jokes? I don't know. I'll try. This has been a project long in the making. Okay, well, I wrote the bulk of the script a while ago, and then shelved it, and then picked it back up, then shelved it again, then picked it back up. This is actually a retelling of a joke I've been working on for a while now. Part of an experiment with it is trying to see how long I can string someone along with plausible quote-unquote facts before dropping the pun in at the end. It's honestly really funny in person. My channel's been pretty quiet as of late because I just moved. Our apartment is a mess, all except my little corner that I spent a few hours setting up on the 28th. If it weren't for the stress that came with even trying to get to this point, I would have probably completed this video earlier. But alas, here we are. But hey, look at this. I have a transformer holding my headset and a pencil. My Darth Vader PS4 is semi-visible. I can show off some of my stuff. I'm happy. As for the video itself, I had to retype this in a notepad because I didn't really feel like trying to read the script off of my phone, and we currently don't have internet as of this writing and recording. I also still have to work because despite all that's going on, I work in an essential business. I've got more irons in the fire at the moment as well, but they'll hopefully come out over the next few weeks and I'll be able to get back into the groove of things as we get all settled in. I'm hoping that most of the rest of this will be pretty standard in regards to recording stuff, filming footage, and making assets. If there's something neat and new I do, I'll put it right there. Post-record Hikib here, and the sound is fairly echoey, at least when I'm listening to it. Growing pains with the new setup. I also wanted to use Fallout 4 for some of this. I had this whole thing planned out with that guy when you enter Good Neighbor as well as when Hancock gives that speech. Unfortunately, after re-downloading the game, it wouldn't work. Go figure. No inputs on the main menu. Had to scrap that idea. Also ruined my plan for the ending of the video. Instead, I just went with getting shot in the head in New Vegas. Whatever works, I guess. With all of those things out in the open, build a boomtown, have a fight, get hurt, receive a chicken, and cover your mouth when you cough. Every time you cough without covering your mouth, a coronavirus gets its Lyme disease. Oh, wait, oh geez, I said the saying. No, YouTube, no! Ah!